All right, we live. Come on now. We'll wait a couple of minutes. Y'all come on in. That belongs to you, Lord. I do not own the rights to this music. I don't know how loud it is, but y'all come on in. Share it. Like my spiritual mother, Mama T, say, your timeline could be somebody's lifeline. So if you're watching, share it.
I like that.
All right, now, Big Drewski, thank you for tuning in. God bless you. Amen. One more minute and we're going to get started. I know how the story ends. I'm going to see your victory. All right, now. Welcome to the Self-Love Journey, Conversations with Shei Atkins, where we learn how to have a healthy relationship with ourselves, where I talk to people from different walks of life from all over the world to remind you that you're not alone, that God is still healing, delivering, and working miracles right now. And tonight, I have Mr. Mar Butler on the scene with us. Um, his bio have so many nuggets in it that I'm not even finna try to remember all that. I think it'll be more special if you just you share it, if it comes from your mouth, because it was so many great things that, babe, I can't remember all that. You doing big things out here. So y'all hand clap, 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 clap. Give it up for Mark Butler. I wanna
Thank
thank you for saying yes, because you are definitely needed. You are definitely needed, especially with what we got going on in this world today. I know that you're an advocate for stopping the violence, and I want to get into your journey because I know somebody watching. They need to see the power of God. They need to hear your story. They need to hear your journey. They need to hear your wisdom. So let's get into the beginning of your journey and work our way up to what you got going on right now.
Okay. Well, first of all, Sister Shei Atkins, I am more than elated to be a part of the Share the Love experience, the show,
Yeah,
everything. I know that you have been running it consistently. We're finally here. We've been trying to
yeah,
get
yeah,
here, as we stated before, almost over a year now,
yeah.
just being there. But to see the consistency that you have it, for everybody who's watching out there, this is a, most dedicated, diligent woman of God. Her messages and everything has been consistent with her work, and she really cares about being an addition to the
Amen.
kingdom. I am Mar
Amen.
Butler. It's a lot of titles that I have: motivational, inspirational speaker, community leader, activist, founder of Tree Leadership Organization, community advocacy program director. There's just so many titles. Managing partner of real estate development and acquisitions. I mean, you name it, I'm pretty much have my hands in it. But the overall title is I am always a messenger for the kingdom. That's
Come
exactly
on.
what I am. Above all of those platforms and names could not have come until I learned to put my trust, my faith, and my whole way of life into the hands of God and begin to move
Amen.
accordingly and directly. So, as God
Come
intended,
on.
so must we be intentional. eh? And that's
Come
what
on.
happens. It didn't start that way. Before I was Mark Butler, the motivational speaker, inspirational leader, and all this other good stuff. Great husband,
Yeah.
loving father, successful motivational speaker, teacher, leader, and author. I was
Come on.
also prisoner number 1293977.
My
In
Lord.
the year 2002 to 2012, I was convicted of a felony, aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon. That's what it has. It was a drug deal that went bad between myself and another drug dealer, and things
My
had
Lord.
gotten involved, and where with guns involved and all kind of stuff. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I was one of those people who was innocent. Like, I didn't do it. No,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
innocent project, the innocent project never came by me. I did it. You know, I did that. I didn't rob anybody, but I for sure, I definitely uh, was committed the crime, and I began to serve my time as for the punishment. I think the transition began when I decided for myself to have a relationship with God. I didn't know how. And that's the honest truth. I didn't know how to have a relationship with God. I grew up in the church, though. I can tell you that. I grew up
Yeah.
playing the drums in the church. I could quote scriptures. I knew what the choir was singing. I knew the selections. I could tell you what the preacher was going to say, the introduction, you know, the rendition and everything like that. I knew exactly when it was called altar call. I could tell you verbatim.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
just knew I knew how to do church.
Come
I
on.
didn't have a relationship with God. I just knew how to do church, which is
Come on.
a big conundrum and a big epidemic that we still face today. That if you
Yeah.
don't train up a child on how to know God, rather than going through the whole subtleties and the repetition of the program, then they'll just become a program, and it's just a system, you know, and everything. But
Yeah.
God desires for us all to have a relationship, and I didn't have one. But it was
Yeah.
at that time I knew that I needed one because I was making some decisions in my life that were detrimental. I made one
Yeah.
decision, probably took no less than 10 minutes, you know, 15 minutes tops. And it ended up getting me a 15-year sentence in the Texas prison, Texas Department of
My
Criminal
Lord.
Justice System,
Mm.
to where I was sitting down there for every bit of 10 calendar years because of that.
Mm.
And the main part that began to change my life was it was a unit that they sent me to that used to be death row.
My
And
Lord.
they moved the death row part off of the unit, but they left the inmates there. So everyone who was either on appeal or fighting to win their case, you know, to fight the death
Yeah.
penalty, probably won it. They were there sentenced to that unit to just serve out the rest of their sentence, which was life, right? Natural
My
life, you
Lord.
know. So rather
Mm.
than sending you to the gas chamber or the electric chair or death by needle or whatever the case may be at the time,
Yeah.
you had a lot of individuals that were there, thousands of people that were there. Most of them, over half of that population were people who had been there for an average of 25, 30, 35, some even 40 years tops, just waiting to
My
die.
Lord.
And
Mm.
I never been put into that situation before, but it was by the
Mm.
grace of God that I was put on a unit like that, because I believe that had I not been, there probably still wouldn't have been a way to reach me. But it's something about
Mm.
when you are around people who have other types of fatalities, or you know, terminal illnesses, or they've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
put into
yeah.
positions to where life is the only thing that they could think about is living. None of the other stuff that we complain about really matters, and
Yeah, yeah.
that's what really happens. And so as I began to get, you know, serve my time, I began to talk with some of the most philosophical and wise people that I've ever met in my life, because all that they had to do now was just focus on living. And I began to find
Yeah.
out a lot of things in this life that I was worried about or cared about, or everything was stressing over, frustrated about, or angry about.
Mm.
It really didn't matter at all. You know,
My
the main
Lord.
thing was allowing God to really show me what his development, his plan was, not just for myself but for life. Like, what was the kingdom like? What is the
Yeah.
kingdom? What is it to be a man? Which is what I had to learn. I didn't know what a man was. So if I didn't know
Mm.
what a man was, then I didn't know what manhood required of me,
Yeah.
right?
That's right. That's
Right.
right.
So I can't say that I'm being an addition to creating or upgrading or, you know, edifying manhood if I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to be, if I don't know what a man is, right? And
Come
the
on,
only
ma.
way to find out what a man was, I had to go back to the blueprint from when the man was first created and find out the
Come on.
reasons why that man was created. What were the responsibilities? What was the mindset? What types of responsibilities or jobs? What types of characteristics that was instilled within him that made him become man, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
begin to understand exactly what that was, prior to him creating God, prior to the woman being created. There was certain attributes that was applied to man. That was a certain responsibility that was applied to man
Come on.
first before he even
Yeah, yeah.
created woman, right? And it was
Come
for a
on.
good reason. So you try to step up on that and then understand. And the more years I begin to understand that, the more I begin to develop my mental mindset and my emotional setting, and my stability begin to come into place. I begin to be restructured, in other words, restored. And then when I begin to
Come
be
on.
restored, I begin to see a new image of myself. Like it says in the Bible, a new
Mm.
creature, you know? And that's
Come on.
exactly what happened. A new creature was being formalized and created from within. And I had to see
Yeah.
that. So when I began to
Wow.
see that, um, the main thing that was so life changing for me was these individuals who I had grown accustomed to living around now, to the point to where we were developing close relationships, calling them family,
Yeah.
because I'm 400 miles away from home, 200 or 300 miles away from home, So the people that you call family now are those whom you've been serving some time with for years. You're talking about your
My
emotions, you're
Lord.
talking about your problems, you're talking about your family and
Yeah.
your dreams and your children and the like.
Yeah.
And to see that these people were dying, not because of the street life or something like that, or prison life. One minute we will be talking and we'll talk about making plans for the next day or the next week. And then the next thing you know, the next day, they're dead.
My
And
Lord.
that is the end of their chapter. And I
Mm.
don't know how it is in other Texas prisons, but
Yeah.
in Texas, I mean, and I don't know how it is in other prisons in the United States, but in Texas, you are given a number, and we call it a TDC number, but that number is really a product number because you are not a
My
human, you
Lord.
are a product. And the
Mm.
product, you are supposed to work and you produce money for the state. They get money
Mm.
for you, even in the census and everything of that sort. They get money by you being there because you are a part of the state. So whatever it is, you are applied to that census. On the census bill, you apply to that list. You become an addition. The state gives them money because of it. So money is already allocated. That's just on one level. Not to mention that you're up there creating crops, you're raising cattle, you're making clothes, boots, shoes, beds, cotton, and you're servicing those things and you're selling it. You have people that are making that. So when you die,
Yeah.
that's the only time that you get your own name back because they retired the number. So when you are, that's the only time that you are recognized as a human being again, is when
Mm.
you die.
Mm.
Other than that, they don't recognize you as anything else. You're not allowed to say no first name or last name. You have to speak your number. And that was the part that really changed me because I really wanted to not be just that number. I didn't want my
Come
name to
on.
be given back to me while I was in prison. I didn't want my name to be given back to me when I'm dead like they are, and then I'm just in a hole in the ground with my name on a little block. I knew that I was
Yeah.
better than that. I knew that. I knew I had
Come
the
on.
potential. I just didn't know how until God began
My
to
Lord.
show me little bit by little bit, starting with the root. And the organization that I run right now, which is Tree Leadership, is based off of
Yeah.
everything that God had given me back then, which was my truth. The first thing was the Tree Leadership. The tree stands for truth, restore, empower, and evolve. And that's exactly how
Come
it
on.
was. The first thing that I did was I had to sit in my own truth. That was it. The first thing is
Mm.
setting your own truth, regardless as to what happened, who was all involved, what circumstances that might have played it. As we like to do, we love to make permanent decisions off of short temporary situations. We love making
True.
excuses for why we fail and everything like that. And we always like to play the blame game. But it's not until you held
Yeah.
accountability for yourself. What decisions did you make to put yourself in the position where you're in? Be truth
My
about where
Lord.
you are, and then you can start making plans as to where you would like to go. But the first
Come
thing,
on.
the prerequisite is that you have to be truthful about where you are first. And that
Yeah.
requires sitting down in your own truth. And I said,
So let me
Mar,
ask, oh,
go ahead, go ahead.
what truth did you have to come, be real about when it comes to yourself?
Well, I knew that for one, I had to realize that, you know, I was here to serve time. I had a
Mm.
15-year sentence. And when by the time I get out, I was going to be almost 40 years old, if not older.
Mm.
That was my
Wow.
no experience, no work, no, the work history that I had would have been irrelevant. My children, my 3-year-old daughter and my 9-year-old daughter would be 19. They would be, one would be a teenager and the other would be a grown woman by the time I returned. This was my truth. The
Wow.
truth was is that
Ooh,
my wife had already moved on and remarried. Those are
my
my
Lord.
truths, you know.
Mm.
And my other truth was is that I had to know that there was not a family to come back to. I have a
Ooh.
I have a brother, another younger brother and a younger sister, and my mother and my father. But when I came home from prison, my father was diagnosed with a terminal illness, cancer.
Mm.
So he couldn't be the person that he was to take care of me.
Mm-mm.
My mother was like drawn. She had already since retired and everything and could not go back to
My
work.
Lord.
And my brother was serving a life sentence in prison. He was about to be convicted of a life sentence. And so for, being with the wrong crowd, he had a 4-year scholarship to go to A&M, play football for A&M.
Yeah.
Just being with the wrong crowd and the people that did commit a murder, they end up sentencing all of them. And my brother had never been locked up a day in his life. So, or even been in trouble. So that was
Wow.
a wake up call for me. I need to start making decisions that are predicated on
Mm.
my abilities, as though there are no one else around. And that's come with me facing my truth. How are you going to fix yourself? What are you going to do about your life? What are you going to do about your goals, your morals? What are you going to do about your future? Do you have a
Wow.
plan put into place? And then you have to go at it as though nobody else is living. And I think a lot of people aren't prepared to face that or really wrap their mind around that. But death is a real thing. You
Ooh.
have to go at it as though everybody that you love, nobody else is living. And when you start doing that, you'll
Wow.
start making decisions that are so tenacious and so driven and determined
Yeah.
as though you have nobody else to depend on, as though that there is no plan B, there is no tomorrow, and that's it.
Wow.
When you start making decisions like that, that's when you start getting your mind wrapped around that. That's when I started really facing my truth. And I asked God to restore me. And I started from right there. How does a man dress? How does a man speak? What would we talk about? Do I know about finances? Do I know about government? Do I know about speaking? Do I know about holding meetings? Do I know about leadership? Do I know how to be a leader of myself? What is the
Yeah.
history? Everything.
Yeah.
Do I know about family? Do I know about reconnecting with family and friends and children? Do I know about fatherhood? Because I wasn't a good one. I was not
Wow.
a good father because I
My
was a
Lord.
young person who had a child at a young age, and then I ended up going to prison. So I wasn't a good father.
Yeah.
Do I know about, just whatever it was, I was learning it, I was reading it and everything. If people wanted to send me a book, money or something like that, it's like, don't send me no money, don't send me no gifts, send me a book. This is the book that I need to read. This is the thing that
Come
I need
on.
to know. I want to start my own business. I want to do this. I want to do that. And God already showed me. He told me, um, learn as much as you possibly can right now, because when you get out, you was not going to have time. That's
Wow.
exactly what he told me. You were not going to have time to sit and learn it. You were going to have to hit the ground running now.
Wow.
And that's exactly what I did.
That's really
Wholeheartedly.
powerful. That's
Hmm.
really powerful because when you think about that truth that you had to sit in, man, you know you can either take that and get real depressed. But what was it just like you say, the people that you saw dying that kind of just motivated you to choose to rise above all that? Because that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
That's a
that's what
lot.
it was. I mean, the truth, I had to sit into my truth, and being around there when you start realizing that people have embraced the fact that they're going to be there for the rest of their life until they die. They start focusing on other things that matter. And
Yeah.
the most commonality that all of them had was being spiritually sound, mentally and emotionally and spiritually sound, knowing that everything else did not matter, right?
Wow.
They already knew that. So they was like, is my mind right? Am I in a state of peace?
Yeah.
Is my heart right? Is my life, all my spiritual affairs in order? Because I know that one day I'm not going to be here. And when you're
Wow.
listening to people, and they was like, I'm gonna be here for the rest of my life, young blood. That's what he's calling me, young blood. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
here
yeah,
for the
yeah,
rest of my
yeah.
life, young blood. But you got an opportunity. You have an opportunity to get out there and make it right. Get out there
Wow.
and make it right for us. For the ones who could not. You have a second chance. We don't have a second chance. You have an opportunity. You can get your life back. You can make better decisions. You
Wow.
can. And when you're listening to somebody who can't tell
Woo.
you that they can, that you can, you
Yeah.
start to believe, like, man, you know what? Man, I can,
Come
I've
on.
been complaining about the wrong things. I've
Come
been
on.
using the wrong excuses. I've been using some of these roadblocks that's not even half as bad as the things that these other people go through. And I've
Yeah.
been using them as excuses to make decisions on my life that have been detrimental, not just to myself, but to the people around me. And I owe it to me to find out who it is that I am.
Uh-oh.
I owe it to me to find out who it is that I am. That's who I
Yeah.
owe it to. I
That's
owe it to
good.
me to find out who can I be before my number checks out? Who
Come
can I
on.
be? How great can I be? How much of an addition to God's kingdom can I add? Can I become before my number checks out?
Wow.
And that's what I've done. And that's what the second letter is: restore.
Yeah, yeah,
God
yeah.
began to restore me, put me back into the image of whom He created me to be when I was born. So
Come
He was
on.
telling me that I was Mar Butler. When I was in prison, that's the affirmation that He gave me. You are Mar Butler, the financially independent entrepreneur, a great husband, loving father, successful motivational speaker, teacher, leader, and author. And back then, that time, I was in a 6x9 jail cell. I had just gotten divorced 3 years before prior. I did
Yeah.
not have a dime to my name. Didn't nobody come to see me. I didn't know anything about anything, but I trusted God.
Come
And
on.
God told me, write this down. And I
Come
wrote
on.
it down. Say it every day. Mar Butler, financially independent entrepreneur, great husband, loving father,
Thank you,
successful
Lord.
motivational speaker, teacher, leader,
Come on.
and author. And when you begin to get that, it's like, I want you to get every book, talk to. That's why I want you to start walking in that alignment. I want you to start walking in that calling, even if you don't see it. Like, I don't see it, God, I'm getting depressed. Walk in it. Every time
Come
you
on.
get depressed, tell yourself, because those are the words that I gave you. And when you start going into those words, you're going to start walking like it. Before you know it, you're starting to talk like it. And because you're reading about my promises to you, now you're going to start thinking like it. And
Come
when you
on.
start talking to other people, people are going to start seeing that part in you, because
Come
you are
on.
becoming what I'm saying that I told you years ago that you were going to be. And you're going to look back and you're going to be telling stories on how you got started, how
Come
it
on.
was, because people need to know why I delivered you.
Come on.
why I saved your life,
Come on,
why
Jesus.
I saved your life. They need to know your story.
Yes,
You
Lord.
need to know your story. And God began to create that platform, and I will not shut up. Every time, the bigger the platform he give me, the more I tell people it was not me. When they say, well, how did you get to where you are? I promise you, it was not me. I am not that smart. I am not that great,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. I cannot predict it. And if I tried to do it again, I probably would mess up trying to do it on my own. But it
Yeah.
was trusting God to be where he wanted me to be when he told me I need to be there. It was trusting God when doing what he told me to do when he wanted me to do it. It was trusting God when he told me to go into places to say the things that he told me to say when he told me
Wow.
to say it. It was then every single time, and I will not deviate away from that because I remember. I remember what it was like to be lost. I remember what
Amen.
it was like.
Glory to God.
Yeah.
So what's the next letter? You said a truth,
Restore.
restore. Okay.
And the next letter is empowered. I
Okay.
began to be empowered because I began to stand on the things that I was telling myself.
Come
I
on.
began to stand on that affirmation. I began to stand on that proclamation. I began to stand on that claim that I was giving myself. I am Mar Butler. I am a
Amen.
financially independent entrepreneur. I am a great husband. I am a loving father. I am a successful motivational speaker, teacher, leader, and author. And I'm gonna tell you something. I was a person that did not like to talk publicly, but the God said, "I'm gonna tell you how to do it. You're
Yeah.
gonna start speaking for me." I knew
Come
that I'm
on.
giving you a voice. You right? So I started learning how to do it. How do you speak publicly? Where do you
Yeah.
go? How to go about doing it? You're going to be in places that I'm going to set the table for you where people are going to be wondering how you're going to get there. What are you doing to be here? You do
Come
not have
on.
the credentials. You don't have the education. How did you get into this place? But I'm going to set the table where
Come
you're
on.
going to be placed in front of men, many men
Oh,
that are going to
Lord.
be wondering, but it's because I validate you. So I want you to
Mm.
start learning how to dress, what kind of three-piece suits that you need to buy, what sport coat goes with these slacks. You need to start learning this because you can't be doing this hood stuff all your life. Not by
Come
where
on.
I'm finna sit you.
Come
I'm
on
finna
now.
sit you on a whole new platform to where what the things that you used to wear are going to be irrelevant. It's not going to work no more. The conversations that you used to have is not going to be relevant no more. The places where you used to drive and the houses that you used to live and the neighborhoods where you used to go and the friends that
Yeah.
you used to have is not going to be relevant no more because
Come
I'm
on.
putting you in the place where it's a higher dimension. You're going to have to be up there to see what I'm have to give you. So
Come
let
on
me
now.
prepare you right now, and I begin to be empowered by that
Come on.
because the more I begin to see God's rewards for doing his work, the
Yeah.
more I begin to be confident in doing more of his will. You
Come
understand what
on.
I'm
Come on.
saying?
Come on. Yo, yeah, I do.
Yeah, man, when you start seeing the rewards for doing God's work and doing
Yeah.
his will, when you begin to have a will for doing God's work, the rewards come where you will start being confident in doing God's will because
Come
you will
on.
have the rewards that come with it. I
Come
remember when
on.
I first came out, I had a job that I was going to, and I was a demolition job, and I live in Dallas, and I had to catch a train all the way to Fort Worth, Texas,
Mm.
and I used to get up early in the morning, 3:30 in the morning to be out of every morning, 3:30 in the morning to be out the house by 4:30 a.m. to run almost a mile down to the nearest bus stop so I can catch the 5 o'clock bus in order to catch the 5:30 train, which was called the TRE, the Texas Railroad Express or something like that,
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
to Fort Worth to be there by 7 o'clock just to have a job that paid me $7.25 an hour. I did that because my truth had already set in. When you
Yeah.
get out of prison, you're going to be almost 40 years old. So
Wow.
do not be surprised, right? Remember, I had
Yeah.
to set in my truth. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
surprise me. I said in my truth prior. So
Yeah.
everything that came to me now, I had already said in my truth. I had already processed it. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Come on.
Because I know I'm not going to be here long. Ain't no
Come
need for
on.
me to be depressed. I'm gonna
Come
work this
on.
job happily. So everybody else was
Come on.
complaining about the pay. They complained
Yeah.
about their job. They complained about the work. They talking about demolition and construction, how it's not safe and healthy and stuff and everything. I'm going there smiling. He's like, Mar, why you smiling? I said, because, bro, I already know I'm not going to be here long.
Come
You
on.
know,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Mar Butler. I'm the
This
financially
temporary.
independent entrepreneur. I'm a great husband, loving
Come
father.
on.
I'm a successful motivational speaker,
Hey,
teacher,
hey.
leader, and author. And I know I cannot do that being here. So
Come
that
on.
means that here has to be temporary. I
Come
have
on.
no reason to be mad.
Thank
I'm
you,
just
Lord.
passing through. You know what
I
I'm saying?
love it.
Evidently, God has me here because it's something that I'm supposed to learn along the way.
Come
So
on now.
let me stop. Let me go ahead and block all this complaining stuff. Let me block all this depression stuff that y'all trying to pass on me so I can
Yeah,
go ahead
yeah,
and focus on what God has for me here while I'm here temporarily so I can go
yeah.
ahead and move on to the next level. Let me
Come
focus
on.
on that. And
Yeah.
I begin to be empowered.
I
And
love
that's
it.
what it was. And my fourth one
Mm.
is evolve. So my first one was truth. My
Yeah.
second one was restore. My
Yeah.
third one is empower. And my
Mm.
fourth one is evolve. Give back. Show the
Mm.
next man how you did it. Show them, talk to as many people as you possibly can. Let
Come
them
on.
know how God saved you. Let them
Come
know that
on.
you've been down the same roads that you've been down. Let them know
Yeah.
that it is possible to overcome. Let them know how to set goals. Teach them how to buy suits. Teach them how to tie a tie.
Come
Teach a
on.
man, teach a boy how to become a man. Teach them what manhood is. Teach them
Yeah.
responsibilities.
Yeah,
Teach,
yeah.
teach, 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 and give back with your action. Don't just tell
Yeah.
them. Show them better than you can tell them. That's when you start paying attention. That's when you start leading, and then you teach them how to give back because now you running them through the same thing. I'm gonna sit you down in your truth because I can't help you get where you need to go if I can't show you where you're at. So you got
Come
to
on.
love me to trust you. You got to trust me and let me love you to show you where you really at so I can
Come
show you
on.
where you need to go. And when I show you
Hallelujah.
where you need to go, because I am your brother, because I am your brother in Christ, I'm
Come
going to
on.
turn back around and supply you the same tools like somebody did me, like God did me, that you need in order to be there. So I'm going to be there to see you through. You're not going to walk this path alone, and you're going to be restored. And then you're going to be empowered because you're going to start seeing the results from you walking your own path, not mine, yours.
Yeah. Come on, Lord.
Yeah, when you start seeing the results from walking your own path, nothing builds more confidence like looking back and seeing how far you've already come.
Come on.
Sometimes, man, I gotta look. When I get into those stages about where I need to go, the roads expanding so much, and I get so overwhelmed and stuff like that. Or sometimes, real life situations come in where you do wonder if it's all worth it. You are going to be depressed. Sometimes you are
Yeah.
going to be questioning, but you got to look at those things and sometimes you gotta look back and encourage yourself and look
Come
back
on.
in that and say, look how far God brought you.
Come
Remember,
on.
remember when it was so dark that you couldn't see your way out back then? Do you remember when you didn't even have an inkling of an answer back then? Who
My
brought you
Lord.
out then? And if he
My
brought you
Lord.
out then, what can I do for you right now? Why are
Come
you
on.
tripping about right now when I brought you out of all that? You
Come
tripping
on.
right now about problems that's not even half as worse than the ones that I brought you out of years ago,
Come on, Jesus.
right?
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's like sometimes we get up in these upper levels and we talking about we got problems. Like, man, do you remember the problems, the real problems that you had before I rescued you?
My
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
My
So if I
Lord.
brought you out of that, you already know I'm gonna bring you out of this. Let's
Yes,
let's
Lord.
yeah, let's go. And so that's exactly what happened. One thing led to another,
Yeah.
and I was up there driving trucks. I was a truck driver for a while. And
Uh-huh.
so I went from that, as you can see, God bless me. I did elevate. So I went from doing, that, and I started being a truck driver, learned how to drive trucks, put myself through
Yeah.
trucking school and everything, and started learning how to do that. And I was traveling the country, and every time I traveled the country, I was meeting new people. And
Come on.
and it wasn't supposed to be because I had a 15-year sentence. So
Yeah.
I did 10 years in prison. I had 5 years left on parole. And when I
Yeah.
finally got it, I wasn't supposed to do any traveling, but God showed me so much favor
Wow.
with those people. I've always had the nicest parole officers and everything. It was like, look, just handle your business. I like what you're doing. You know, you get it out. You know, you're doing the best that you can and
Yeah.
everything. You already received. I received a Citizenship of the Year award, which was kind of bittersweet a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, Citizenship of the Year. First, I was like, it was given to me as though it was something that was supposed to be celebrated. So I'm looking at it and I was
Yeah.
like, what is, and I went to my parole officer and they was like, well, yeah, this, you know, this bishop, I'm not going to say his name. They have a huge
Yeah.
church, one of those mega churches. They want to give you a Citizenship of the Year award. And I was like, well, what is this for? Because I was excited because it was the first thing of recognition that I've ever got for doing
Right.
anything good
Right.
since I've been home. I've been home like a year or so at the time.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I did the research, and it was because the average turnaround time for recidivism, the average person who's is returned back to prison within less than 12 months. And the
Wow.
simple fact, because I got the award because I was out longer than 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the reason why I got the award. And I was glad that someone recognized me, but that was so bitter to me because I was
Yeah.
like, man, that means nobody, I have so much work to do out here, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
and that's when I got involved into the community work.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
really started my journey. I didn't know how, I didn't know where to go. I was just volunteering anywhere that I could after a while.
Come
And I
on.
was driving trucks. I would drive 12 to 13 hours,
My
and
Lord.
I would get out of the truck, you know, I was going to Walmart. Sometimes I go to Goodwill or Salvation Army, one of those thrift stores, put me a little suit together, a little piece of a suit. You know, I still
Yeah.
I couldn't afford it because I was making $7.25 an hour, right?
My
But
Lord.
whatever I could afford, I didn't mind. I'll go to the thrift store or something like that and try to just put something together, you know. I just
Yeah.
want to be presentable. I want to be
Come on.
presentable in the right place. And I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
going and witnessing. I was still going and volunteering. I was still going and mentoring. And I would do that almost every day, two and three
Yeah.
times out of a week. I would do it. It just, you know, just doing that. It was like, well, why you do it? You know, I know you're tired. I know you beat. And I was like, man, this is my ministry. I have to give back
Come
because
on.
this life is not mine, you know?
Come
It's
on
like,
now.
I know that this life is not mine. I know that I'm here on borrowed time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing this for the people who could not, the ones who were still there that wish that they had this opportunity. This is
Yeah.
who I'm doing this for. It's not me, period.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I
Yeah.
know that other people need to be saved. They
Yes,
need to know
Lord.
the truth. And I know this truth. So let me go ahead and volunteer. And I was doing it with everybody, school districts, churches, community
Come
centers,
on.
colleges. I was volunteering as a mentor for the criminal district courts, working with judges, mentorship, second chance programs. I mean, you name it, I was doing it. And
Wow.
so when the opportunity came, when they was talking about, I started speaking
Yeah.
and doing this. So the whole time while I was volunteering, the volunteering was sharpening my skills on public speaking,
Come
right?
on.
So the public speaking, someone began to notice, and one person, I still remember, it was at a prison reentry class, and they wanted me to do a workshop, and
Yeah.
somebody filmed it. And when they filmed it and they sent it out on social media, it took off like wildfire.
Wow.
And
Come
before
on,
you know,
Lord.
people was reaching out to me everywhere, and I was like, man, you might want to start your business
Yeah. That's
doing this
right.
because
That's right.
I think you just became a motivational
Yeah.
speaker,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
You
because
spoke
I
that
think I fit
thing.
the qualifications. I don't know. I didn't go to courses. I didn't take no classes, but you know, I was speaking publicly, and it seems like the people I was talking to were motivated. So does that
Yeah.
clarify? I still didn't know, Shay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
if I clarified that or not. But I said, let's just go with it. So I started me a
Yeah.
little LLC, got my license, Mar Butler Speaks, and
Come
been
on.
doing that ever since. And so then I was, you know, of course, that's long history now. I'm still, you know,
Yeah.
I'm speaking across the country now, but I was then just speaking across the city, you know, and
Come
everything,
on,
just still
Lord.
doing what I was doing my little videos and stuff happily, you know, and everything.
Come
So
on.
that was a great thing. Uh, But then there was a situation where the mayor of Dallas was doing the initiatives in 2020, and
Uh-huh.
he was like, he wanted to give money for community policing, community advocacy. That's what he wanted to do. So it wasn't that he defunded the police. He just took part of the money that was going to them and said that part of the money for public safety needs to go toward the community to teach them how to take care of their own community. And
Yeah,
what he
yeah, yeah.
wanted, I'm sorry.
I say, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the truth. That is part of public safety. When people think about public safety, they think about law enforcement. That's the first thing. When
Yeah.
you say
That's
public
right.
safety, you think about law enforcement. But the main thing that people fail to realize is that law enforcement don't fight crime and they don't stop crime. They just arrest crime after it has already happened.
Yeah,
They
right.
come after the fact, right? And
Yeah,
that's the difference. When you're talking about community involvement,
yeah, yeah,
public safety, that's when you have people that are in the community, that are from these communities, that know how to predict when things are about to happen or the potential thereof, and then they go and try to intervene and address it, from that particular
yeah,
standpoint. And so you can do that by offering resources or help or services in a way to where it can alleviate some of the pains that a person goes through and disparities that they suffer from, which lead to anger and
yeah,
and violent crime.
yeah.
So this takes by someone who actually knew. So the mayor was asking, like, who's the most the active person that everyone would know that could be possible for leading a team. And because it was a $1.6 million deal, and they was like, well, look no further. This guy named Mar Butler has really
Come
been doing
on.
it consistently for a while. So they hired me as to direct, develop, and build the first program of violence interrupters team in the city of
Wow.
Dallas. And so that was just one thing. And then after that, someone nationally got word of it about the work that we were doing,
Yeah,
the progress that was being made from it, because we were actually making progress. We were reaching real people, helping to
yeah,
change lives. Me still implementing that tree formula to the
yeah,
thing, and
yeah,
really helping people to transform their lives from a holistic perspective. And so I was nominated Amnesty International's Neighborhood Hero, which is a nationally known, accreditation. I feel it's a blessing because, during every month of June, during Gun Violence Awareness Month is the month of June, you get a chance to speak all over the country. You get a chance to, speak and provide, different things from the White House and stuff like that. They always wanted to know your decisions, your input,
yeah,
and
yeah,
so that was a big deal for us, for that. And so I'm just excited about that, being able
yeah,
to speak, being able to help, and everything. And now it's the Tree Leadership is a official organization to where we do these things on a regular basis, and we're working inside of the school districts, working with children, young
yeah,
adults, anywhere from everything from 10 years old all the way to 17 years old. We are
yeah.
dealing with them with the actual Tree Leadership formula. So it's a two-part to where we meet them where they are, which is in
Come
that
on.
on the ground. We train
Yeah,
them holistically on how to develop with the Tree Leadership formula, the whole tree formula,
come
and
on.
everything. And we're providing resources for them, whether it be clothes, food, computer tablets with Wi-Fi, uniforms,
Come on.
school supplies, whatever. We do it for their, not just them, but their entire family. So we provide wraparound resources for them while we're training the kids, while we're training them for the next level, which is the tree leadership. So now they're becoming a tree leader, and that prepares for every facet of leadership, period.
Yeah,
Whether it's from learning government, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, I mean, everything, social healing, speaking to media, public group sessions, you name it. We really hitting it all this time, and so
come on.
I've been able to do that, working with them, which is going to be implemented prior towards the end of this year.
Come
It's
on.
already started. Working with them, Heal America movement, which we've initiated. We kicked off the summer of healing from
Come
June
on.
of this year all the way to October. So
Yeah,
Summer
yeah.
of Healing, Heal America. And what that does is it's the combination of me going to get all of the organizations together to
Yeah.
work in concert in order to serve the communities at once. So as opposed to before when everyone was working in little pockets or silos, now there are community collaborative change makers from a collaborative perspective. And they've been, just it's a whole lot easier to streamline these resources to the people to where
Yeah.
we can get services to them faster, and
Yeah.
we can produce a more rapid, or we can expedite the decrease in violent crime. So
My
all of
Lord.
this is a good thing that's been working like on a holistic perspective,
Yeah.
and it started as a dream. It started as a
Come
dream in a
on.
6x9 sale. Everything that God told me, because now I am, financially independent entrepreneur. I'm that whole thing: great husband, loving father, successful motivational speaker, teacher, leader, and author. All of
Come
that.
on, Lord. And let me
Yeah.
ask you this. Um, what's your take on just the increase in violence? Because I have never seen this much gun violence in my whole life. Every time I see the news every morning, somebody that got shot. They got shot on the freeway. They got shot laying in their bed. And I'm like, what is going on?
hmm
What you
hmm
think the shift?
Well, it's been a shift, but it's certain things to factor into that shift. It's no coincidence to me that the opening up of gun laws, open carry,
Oh,
just so
yeah,
happens to
yeah,
fall
yeah,
right after the pandemic was over with.
yeah,
You got to understand a lot of things derive a lot of nuances, a lot of underlying issues mentally and emotionally
yeah,
derived from the pandemic. Children, for
yeah,
one, teenagers and the like, who set up in the house, the they the deprivation of the detention retention, the decrease in memory and retention in school has dropped
yeah,
so dramatically, all the way down to age 9 years old. They are
yeah,
not able to retain information. Why? Because the average person stayed on the phone, stayed on the computer. They a lot of parents let the social media raise the children. And
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
when they was up there in the social media playing these games and stuff, and the majority of the games that they're playing have guns and everything,
yeah,
people are so detached emotionally because
yeah.
you've been mentally trained and developed to solve everything with a gun. And then
Wow.
now you open the open carry to where there's no license or training or
Yeah,
anything
that
of that
makes sense.
sort, right? So now you have people who are already having anger, points of confusion, discontent, and everything,
Yeah,
unresolved issues that
yeah.
happened prior. Now they just feel as though everything that they have to do has to be resolved with the gun. And it's a
Wow.
lack of conflict resolution, which is why
Yeah,
conflict resolution is a big thing that I teach in some of these groups at a
yeah,
young age with the children. Because if you don't know how to resolve conflict, you will feel like every time you approach conflict or encounter
yeah,
conflict, you have to handle it one way. And that
yeah.
one way would be the only thing you see everybody else doing. And that's
That's
the
right.
one thing that's detrimental, right? and
Yeah,
and that's what happens is when you're constantly hearing something on the radio, you're
yeah,
constantly seeing something on the phone, and then you constantly watching something on the news, and then you're going out and you are seeing people enacted all the time. What
yeah.
you're doing is you're constantly massaging your subconscious mind to accept this as true. And
Yeah.
before you know it, your body and your mind begins to want to protect and think that's part of your protective mechanism, that if
Wow.
something happens to me, I'm gonna get a gun and I'm gonna shoot first,
Yeah.
right? And that's the last thing that you want to do. So it's like nobody's practicing how to think first and act,
Yeah.
secondly. Everyone is saying act first and then think about it later.
Yeah.
But when
Wow.
do you have time to think about it? When you're already have behind bars and in the grave.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
us as a collective, if I was to give charge to all of us as a
Yeah.
collective,
Yeah.
um, I would say be careful about what we listen to on the radio. Be careful about what we listen to in these videos, because
Yeah.
these songs are very, very much perpetuating death, no matter
Yeah.
what it is. Just because it has a cool sound to it and it sounds like R&B or whatever, listen to the lyrics. These people are
Yeah.
talking about killing all the time, and they have
Yeah.
the little beat because so they can get the radio airplay on syndicated radio.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't negate the fact that you are constantly conditioning someone's mindset, because your lyrics are constantly pumping in kill, 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 kill,
Yeah.
kill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you watching the videos and it's kill, 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 kill,
Yeah.
kill. Then you're
My
listening to the
Lord.
radio and it's kill, kill. You know what I'm saying? All the
Yeah.
time, right? So it's like that's the normal thing. It's like it's
Yeah.
cool to die, you
My
know?
Lord.
And so when you get to that point, you talk to some of these kids, and I do, um,
Yeah.
they tell you that they don't care about dying at this point in
My
time. They don't
Lord.
really care
Wow.
about dying. They ready to die, or they ready to
Wow.
kill. And that's such a long way, you know, extended detachment from reality
Yeah.
until they've either dead or they're locked up in jail, and then all of a sudden reality hits them like, man, I don't know what I was doing. I was tripping. I didn't know. I want to call my mama and all this stuff, but it's too
Yeah.
late. It's too late. You've already taken a life. It's too late. You can't call your mom. I tried to get a hold to you. There were other ways that you could have done
Yeah.
it, but you didn't do it. So
Yeah.
it's our job to really monitor and just understand where we are, if as a parent with our children, where we are, as a community leader, like get back to the
Yeah.
village again. It's
Yeah, Lord.
I hold every 90 days a village project, to where upon one day, for one day, one full day, I
Yeah.
come to one neighborhood and I offer every resource. I get all of, not just the organizations. I have city leaders,
Come
everybody,
on.
city leaders, institutions, police department, transportation department, community courts for ticket expungements. I have clothing stores. I have banks that's offering free services. It's car insurance, like whatever. I'm alleviating any obstacle that you may face,
Yeah.
they prevent you from attaining success. I'm having it for one full day so that you have no excuse. And it's called the Village Project, because I want people to understand that in order to change the community and really impact the community, we have to readopt the image and the saying that we've gotten away from, which is it takes a village, because
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can't do it by ourselves. It
Yeah.
does take a village. And when we come
Amen.
together, we achieve more, way more when
Yeah.
we come together.
I agree. I agree. So what does one have to do to book you and get you to come to their church or their city or their school? What you got for them?
um,
Because your ministry is needed.
Everything that I do is Mar Butler Speaks. So if you
Okay.
go to Facebook, it'll be Mar Butler Speaks. Instagram is Mar Butler Speaks. Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever. The Gmail is Mar Butler Speaks at gmail.com. Now, Mar Butler is spelled Marbutler.
Come
You
on.
can go to YouTube, watch the Speak On It with Mar Butler show, Facebook, Speak On It with Mar Butler. As you see the sign behind me,
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
Mar Butler is Marbutler. Just find out how to get in touch with me. Send me an email, look it up.
Yeah.
I have so many different I have so many different email addresses because I have quite a few businesses, but
Yeah.
that by far is the easiest to remember, right? So
Yeah.
Mar Butler Speaks at
Come on.
gmail.com. And you can always call me. at area code 469-290-4243. I'm like Mike Jones. I give it to the public. I went on a news station one day and people thought I was playing. I had to have help. I did have to
Yeah,
have help to
yeah,
answer
yeah,
all those calls. So I had to streamline and have people to get back with them. But if you just call that number, email that address, and just, I'm more than happy to work things out. And the workshops, I mean, I do it all. Facilitate, do
yeah,
workshops, do groups. I mean, the voice, God has empowered the voice and given me the message and the education. And it's just for the family, the men, September the 25th, I'm be speaking in Dallas, strictly for my kings. And it's just talking about everything. And I'm going to be having one that's called the Respect Box. Oh,
come
that's going to
on,
be powerful. So if you're going to
come
be in
on,
Dallas anytime soon on September the 25th, the man is going to be called the Respect Box. I know that we
come
always
on,
say women need love, but men need respect. But
yeah,
it's time to stop getting around there and let's unpack what actually goes into the respect box, because respect is just an overview. Yeah, give me some respect, but that's your perception. My level of respect is different from your level of respect.
yeah,
Depends
yeah,
on where you are, your demographic, household you grew up in, lifestyle you live. What you might call disrespectful, I might not. So I
yeah,
can't
that's
ask
right.
you to give me respect. So let's unpack this respect box,
Come on,
and get back there. So that I have that September the 29th, I actually be in Houston. I
come
will
on,
be in Houston speaking
come
at my
on,
my mentor, who actually wrote me while I was in prison, sent me my first book, which was The Power and Purpose of Man. His name was Dr. Miles Monroe. We will be
yeah,
speaking on his behalf. He would have been 68, so he would be up there. I will send you the information, but it's going to be at one of those
yeah,
convention centers in downtown Houston. I will be
okay,
speaking on there on September the 30th and August the 1st with his daughter, Carissa Monroe. So I'll be
come
there.
on,
And then I'll be back in Dallas on October the 15th for the pull up. It's going to be all young men from 10 to 16 years old.
that's
So
fine.
I have all that information, send you the flyers, but just
Yeah,
email me at marbutlerspeaks@gmail.com, or just call me directly or send me a text. I do all of it.
come on,
I'm up there, but I'm still old school. I'm still down to earth too. I will still answer back at all times. Just call me. Let's make something happen, because we need to grow the kingdom together.
come on now, y'all hit him up. Because his ministry is needed. This is powerful. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your journey. Y'all, if you miss it, there's so many nuggets in here. Y'all need to go back to the beginning and watch it from the beginning to end, because there's some life-changing nuggets in here. And share with the men in your family, your cousins, your brothers, your uncles, your daddy, your sons. Share this because they need to hear what he's saying. Is there anything else that you would like to say to the people before we get out of here?
The only thing I want to say to everybody is that I appreciate you. I love you because God loves you. God lives in me. That means God lives in you. So I have to love you. It's not by choice. This right here is what it is. You
Come
you
on.
and I am you. So it is what it is. Reach out to me. Never be afraid to be an addition to the kingdom. Grab somebody. Don't just do it by yourself. Grab
Come
someone.
on.
Tell them about the good things that God has blessed you with. Each one, reach one. Let's teach one. Let's change it. We can do it. We don't have to sit back and just let the world just dribble out on its own. But
Yeah,
anything that you don't speak life to or give life to will die on its own. But
my
we
God.
can keep the kingdom alive.
That
Peace
was
and blessings.
powerful. And that was beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And until next time, y'all, thank y'all for tuning into the Self Love Journey. Catch y'all next time. God bless. Bye. Thank you so much.